Hi friends, it's Kayla Moran and welcome back to the Let's Get Candid podcast. Today I want to talk a little bit about Legally Blonde and just the message behind the movie. And I'm taking a Images in the Law class this semester, and basically we watch film and TV shows about the law and we discuss the interpretation of the law, the legal field, law school, the profession, and the impact it's had on society, the impact society has had on the law and law school, and all of that. And it's actually a very interesting class, and it's supposed to be like a fun 3L class, but it's actually been really insightful to learn about the impact that pop culture and society has had in the legal industry, and then obviously, of course, the impact the legal industry has had on society. And we all see that every day with Supreme Court cases and the media reporting on cases and laws that we have to know. We watched Legally Blonde, and I admit I've only ever seen it once before. And I think I was already in law school, which is crazy, I know, but I just don't really love the early 2000s movies. I think they're really cheesy. They're very cringy, and I just never really watched it, I don't think, but I did actually do in like summer camp in elementary school, the Delta Nu like montage, like song, like a dance to it, like a little like skit. So fun fact, but maybe that's where I got the idea to join a sorority in college. I don't know. But yeah, so I watched it for the first time, I think like 2 years ago, or right before going to law school or starting law school. And then I watched again now as a 3L. And when I first watched it, I was like, this isn't really realistic. Like, there's no way a 1L, like a first-year law student, would be defending someone in a criminal trial. That would be a 2L and 3L role in a clinic. And murder trials are like even more like prestigious and rare for students. And so I just didn't think it was realistic. It's not. So I was like, meh. Don't love it, but I think Reese Witherspoon is great in it, and it's a fun movie. It's fun to watch. The fashion, the commentary, like the bend and snap. Paulette is amazing, of course. You know, Warner pisses me off most of the movie. Vivian grinds my gears a lot of it, but then I like her. You know, that was my first thought about the movie. And then watching it back now as a 3L, I see so much more to the film than lay people, and lay people in this sense as in not law students and not lawyers. And now having a background in law school and knowing what it's really like and going through it myself, and having represented my own clients in clinic, and having been a student attorney under the supervision of my professor, you know, I see now, I mean, still not realistic for her to do it as a 1L, but, you know, I see it with a whole new set of eyes. And there's a specific quote at the beginning of the movie where Professor Cromwell says, "Law is reason free from passion." That quote at the very beginning of the movie where she says that and then asks who said it, and it was Aristotle. And then at the end of the movie, that quote comes up again. But before I touch on why that quote really resonates with me, and the speech that Elle makes at the end of the movie at graduation really resonated with me and honestly kind of made me cry and made me tear up for sure. And I wrote a whole long sappy Instagram post about it, is because I really struggled with imposter syndrome in law school. So many times in law school, I really felt like I didn't belong here. I didn't deserve to be here. I didn't know what I was doing. That people thought, why are you here? Why do you keep coming back? And, you know, I've really struggled with finding my place in law school, knowing that I'm not like everyone else, and the reasons I'm doing this are very different, and my perspective and my view on it is very different. Grades to me aren't the end all be all. Law school itself isn't the end all be all. Getting a job isn't the end all be all. Obviously, I want a job at the end of graduation. I want to pay my bills, pay back my loans, and support myself. But there's more to me than just my degree. There's more to me than just being a law student. That's been very, very important to me throughout this whole journey of having an identity outside of being a law student. You know, I had my blog, Instagram, social media in general, and now this podcast. And I felt because I was different. I wasn't like everyone else. And I will say most of my classmates have been very, very supportive, and they think it's really cool. And I mean, that's from everyone who has told me, has said that it's really cool and they're very supportive. Obviously don't know that about everyone because I don't talk to everyone in my class. There's like 123 of us, and not everyone's back in Knoxville with COVID. And like, we're just not all around at the same time anymore, like we were one all year. And, I always knew that I was different, but I struggled with, should I not be doing all of these things? Should I be focusing only on school like everyone else? Would I be doing better if I was only focusing on school? And probably the answer would be yes. Most definitely the answer would be yes. But I know deep down that had I only focused on law school and ignored every other part of me, I would be miserable. And if I didn't follow the calling to go to law school and only did everything else, I wouldn't be fulfilled. And I wouldn't be able to achieve my goals and my dreams and my passions and pursue the career that I want to pursue and be able to build the career that I want to build for myself, the life I want to build for myself. But with that, I really struggled with balancing it all. Not so much like time management, but just like internally. Like, am I doing the right thing? And sure enough, I could be reading for classes right now, but I'm recording this because this is important to me also, and it's something I feel really compelled to do. And I just, the whole premise of the movie that really spoke to me this time isn't about her going into Harvard Law School to get revenge on Warner, and basically, get him back. That's what the movie's supposed to be about. That's what the whole premise of it initially is. But at the end, when she wins the case and he's like, okay, you're the girl for me, she's like, how, if I'm gonna be partner by 30, I can't date a bonehead. And it's just, she grows up and she realizes, she's so much more than just Warner Huntington III's wife. She was trying to fit the mold of what he wanted, a la Vivian Kensington, but then realized that she doesn't want that life. She found her calling and wants to pursue that and be a badass. And to me, the movie is a lot more about, finding who you are, growing up, struggling and overcoming it, and just finding your purpose and stopping at nothing to get there, and just proving people wrong and just doing what you're meant to be doing. No matter who tells you any different, no matter who looks at you funny for what you wear or how you talk or where you're from or whatever it is. Does she make some, bad first impressions? Absolutely. But should we be judged by them? Absolutely not. Does she come from a non-traditional background for Harvard Law School? Yes, but what is a Harvard Law School student? What is a law school student? What is any grad student or college student? There's not this one preconceived notion anymore, or at least there doesn't have to be. And we should all be a little bit more like Elle Woods and be fearless in pursuit of our goals and our dreams and our passions, and not being afraid of what other people say. And I actually read about why they cast Reese Witherspoon in this movie and her thoughts on it. And she actually studied Beverly Hills sorority girls and just LA sorority girls in general to study for the role. And she wanted to portray them in the best light possible, not just like the American Pie version of sorority girls that we all get in the media already. She really wanted to portray how it's about female friendship and female empowerment and being supportive and just showcasing like the beauty of being a female and having passions. And it's okay to like getting your hair and nails done. It's okay to like makeup. It's okay to like fashion and still want a serious career and have a serious, degree. And, she says at one point that she doesn't think even her parents take her seriously. But by getting into Harvard, it proved to her that, she is worthy, she deserves it. And, I felt that. I just feel like most people don't take me seriously, especially in law school, because of my social media extracurriculars. But you know what? It's never stopped me from doing them. those fears and imposter syndrome is still there, absolutely, and it rears its ugly head every once in a while. It reared its ugly head a couple days ago, but I know that it's the right thing for me. It's the best thing for me, so I'm going to keep doing it, and so does Elle. And I really love that the arc of the movie ultimately ends up being that she wasn't afraid to be herself. And that was at the forefront of her mind, and that propelled her forward in the pursuit of her degree. And it paid off because she got the internship, although Callahan's an asshole. She got the internship, she got the guy, a great guy at the end, Emmett, but more than that, she was valedictorian. Or we could assume magna cum laude, but we don't know, it doesn't say. But she got really high honors. She was elected class speaker to speak at graduation. She won over her classmates at the end, and that says more about who Elle is as a person and her character. And that's the part that I want to get out of this movie. That's the part that I hope you get out of this movie. And if you haven't watched it or haven't watched it in a while, definitely go back and watch it. But I really love that, she comes in Malibu Barbie, like they say at the beginning, and then leaves, this legend, this icon. And she, her first impression wasn't great, but she's leaving a lasting legacy at that school. And it's beautiful. And it doesn't have to be Harvard for you to leave a legacy. It could be anywhere. It could be your community college. It could be your job. It could be where you volunteer. It'll be all of those places. And I think that's a beautiful thing. So I wanted to touch on the speech that she gives at the end that really resonated with me. And she says, on our very first day at Harvard, a very wise professor quoted Aristotle, "The law is reason free from passion." Well, no offense to Aristotle, but in my 3 years at Harvard, I have come to find that passion is a key ingredient to the study and practice of law and of life. It is with passion, courage of conviction, and strong sense of self that we take our next steps into the world, remembering that first impressions are not always correct. You must always have faith in people, and most importantly, you must always have faith in yourself. And that quote really hit me. It struck me because courage is a word that a lot of people have used to describe me. Resilience is another word that a lot of people have used to describe me. And actually, I have a funny story about courage. At Pref Night at my sorority, Kappa Delta. I don't know if I've said that on the podcast, but I'm a Kappa Delta from the University of Central Florida, the Epsilon Omicron chapter. And when I was at Pref Night, they go in a circle and they bring you into the sisterhood. They bring you into the circle, and some girls will say one word that describes their Pref Night buddy and their PNM, their potential new member. And Pref Night is preference night. It's the night before bid day. It's the day you go to the least amount of houses, and you're probably gonna get a bid from one of those that you go to at Pref Night. And at that moment in the circle, my sister says courage about me. And we bonded over the fact that we are both interested in going into the military possibly, and both going into law. And she has since graduated law school, and I'm about to graduate law school. And she said the word that describes me the best is courage. And from just talking to me for a few minutes that week, that was the word that she got. And my dad tells me that story every once in a while because it struck with him when I told him. And I do have a lot of courage. I'm not afraid to go after what I want. I'm very opinionated. I know who I am. I know what I want. I know what I deserve. And I might have gotten lost in the shuffle for a really long time, but I've always known that, the little girl that loved to take pictures in her backyard and talk to anybody and everyone in English and Spanish, if I spoke other languages, probably in other languages, I was always very courageous. And I lost that girl for a while, but I'm glad I got her back, and I had the courage to put myself out on the internet and honestly be received with so much love and support. And, that's so special. And so I love that she says courage of conviction, and with passion, that I'm very passionate. I'm a very passionate person, and passion is what led me to start this podcast and ultimately wanting to make an impact. And because that was my passion, led me to start my blog 3 years ago and to go to law school in the first place. And then sense of self. Like I said, I've always known who I was. I know who I am. I know what I want, and I'm not afraid to go after it. And I think that's such a beautiful thing. So I really love this quote. And, having faith in people is hard. It's really hard to trust people if you've been hurt. It's really hard to trust people in general. But it's really hard to trust in yourself too, and have faith in yourself. And I think, this movie shows that, no matter what you get put through, whether it's sexual harassment, which if that hasn't been you, I am so sorry. I don't wish that upon anyone, and I feel for you if that's you. So, you don't have to tell me, but just know that I'm with you. And, whether that's failing an exam or not getting the promotion you wanted or not getting the job that you wanted or whatever it is, always having faith in yourself. That, what's meant to be will be. Everything happens for a reason, and you will make it through whatever struggles you're going through right now. Whatever phase of life you're in, you will get past it, and you will be on to bigger and better things. And, so yeah, short episode. I really just wanted to talk about the impact of Legally Blonde that on me, and also just the beauty of Legally Blonde. And I hope that, I hope Reese Witherspoon hears this someday, whoever else has been involved in Legally Blonde. And it's really funny. We are graduating in May 2022, and that's when the third one comes out. And my class joked that we hope that Reese Witherspoon could be our commencement speaker, that we could find an email for her agent and reach out to her. So we will try our best, and I will report back. But just, I hope that, this short, sweet episode was entertaining, you liked it, you enjoyed it, you resonated with it, and that quote does something for you like it did for me, because it's truly a special quote, and it's a really beautiful lesson to learn from a movie. Be yourself. Don't worry about what anyone else thinks. Don't judge a book by its cover. People will surprise you. Have faith in them, and be passionate, and don't stop pursuing what you want just because other people think it's weird or funny or crazy, or you dress weird or whatever it is. She would not have won that case if she didn't have that knowledge from Cosmo about perms. So if you have something that you're passionate about, or that you're really, really good at, or you have a knack for, find a way to use it, whether that becomes your career itself or whether that helps you in your career in any way. I hope that quote, this movie, this episode inspires you like it did for me. So with that, I hope you liked this episode. If you did, please leave a rating and review. Please follow us on Instagram at the Let's Get Candid podcast. Please subscribe. Please follow on Spotify. Shoot me a DM. Send me an email. Let me know what you want to hear next, who you want me to have on, what topics you want me to cover. And if you're listening, screenshot and share on stories and tag me so I can reshare. That's the best way to grow the show. And I really, really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you guys next week.